Hi, my name is Jim Bradford. This is my interpersonal communication project for HSER 508. A husband of 22 years, a father of a 15 and 20-year-old. I was a pastor for about 20 years, mostly full-time, some itinerant work. Now I work in a corporate role as a workforce development manager for Bechtel Corporation. It's a engineering, project management, and construction company. My focus is in learning and development, leadership, and leadership coaching. Some of the reasons for that I took this master's program was to sharpen the skills that I have in people development, so that I could be more effective in helping people be a success. My wife and I, for our future plans, are looking to start a nonprofit organization on relationship building and life skills development called Life Talks. My overarching goal for this project is listening to build relationships, listening versus hearing. And I tend to be more the hearer and not as well in my listening skills. So why listening? Specifically, understanding relationship. The conversations relationship, as Stuart pointed out, was very intriguing and very enlightening to me. What a great statement! Is that the relationship I used to compartmentalize. I guess in my mind I considered the two as separate things. But when he made that statement, it's like a bell went off in my mind, is that, hey, these are integrated. And the quality, as he made later, a quality of your life depends on the quality of your communication. The quality of your relationships depends on the quality of your communication was very important. Letting others happen to me is very important as well, because I recognize other people have different belief systems, opinions, and learning to let them happen to me was very intriguing. And listening into people's lives, Jim Peterson said, people don't bare their souls up front. It takes gentleness, respect, and time. And something that I don't often give to people, especially, is time and the respect to listen to them. And that comes also in the point that Jon Stewart, in his section on inhaling, and a quote that he made about poor listeners have little patience for the present, and taking time to reflect on what is being said, listening to that individual, engaging in them, into their conversation. Tendencies that I have, and this is why I chose listening, is I tend towards shallow conversations, often focus more on personal benefits and failing to consider the interests of other people. I often have a few nonverbals that I tend to put off and display that cause people to question whether or not I'm really engaging with them. And my definition of enlarging the conversation really focuses more on and what was pointed out to us is the identification of need, and what is the purpose or the need of the individual that I'm talking with. Why are they communicating? What are they communicating? And intentional resourcing, and using through listening and dialogue, trying to meet the needs of the moment of that individual in the conversation. And then the result will be an enlarged conversation where both parties feel as though their needs for being heard were met. A little bit about my background and behavioral blend on slide 6 is that there's a growing up. I was the oldest of 3 boys. There was a lot of moving in my life. Even since I've been married, a lot of frequent moves, multiple states and multiple communities, and so multiple relationships, and that has really impacted some of my church influence and culture. If you're a person who thinks differently from me, acts in a certain way, said things certain ways, I often didn't want to have anything to do with you, and that has influenced. I'm not quite that way anymore, but was very much that way with individuals, and therefore it hindered my conversation and my relationship with others. And then the busyness of life really has had an impact, as well as I think it does for most people. A behavioral blend, there were some surprise results for me. I've been able to take this assessment quite a few times, not this particular one, but the DISC assessment. I've actually instructed on it. And the 2 compartments, the 2 sections in this is expected of me, was an I, and this is me was a CSD. The I guess I could see how I do that, because people kind of expect that to me. But this is me. I really didn't. The surprise more was the C in that area, and that was really kind of eye-opening. And one of the positive influences of this behavioral blend and background is that, from an I standpoint, I'm able to create a friendly and cordial environment, able to persuade and inspire toward a goal, often outgoing when the moment requires. From a CSD standpoint, I tend to be more positive and optimistic, it can be more diplomatic in those heated conversations. But also, I'm conscientious of other people and who they are, where they are, and try to pull people into to conversations. But on the negative side, some of the negative influences of this behavioral blend that I've got to work on is, from the I standpoint, is to tend not to listen very well. And when I'm in a conversation, because I'm a big picture thinker, a conversation that's on the fly, I lack the ability to articulate very well. I can be a little too energetic in conversations, which leads to infringement. And then I'm often too trusting and open with people that I don't know very well. From a CSD standpoint, I have a bottom line mentality. I don't really care for all the fluff or the details. Just kind of, tell me what it is. I'm not very questioning or inquisitive enough, and this impacts my ability to listen to other people and engage them. And due to a law-abiding lean, I tend toward a lack of compassion. You messed up, you need to deal with it. That's kind of my mentality. Some of the potential barriers, and I pulled those tendencies from slide 5, I believe it was, or slide 6, was the tendency towards shallow relationships, kind of a result of hurried mentality or personal agenda. And a way to address this barrier is focusing on making time for conversations and being more in the moment with individuals. Fully engaging in the conversations by asking, like Peterson said, what are they thinking? What are their concerns? And why are they acting the way that they are? And really asking some of those questions. And then, like John Stewart said, letting the other person happen to me and putting off my own personal agenda and accepting that their beliefs and opinions may be different doesn't mean I have to accept them, but listen to them and be able to. That's going to enable me to be able to speak into their life later on. Another potential barrier is focused on personal benefits and what does the other person have to offer to me, and really to address this is really focusing on putting on humility. 1 Peter 5:6 and clothing yourself with humility toward one another. Failing to consider their interests as another potential barrier, and what are their needs, and I don't listen to their needs. I haven't taken an interest in drawing those needs out. So according to Philippians 2:3-4, consider the interest of others as more important than my own. And some conscious actions that I can do to focus on that is allowing the other person to completely share their feelings to avoid a flat brain syndrome. And then asking clarifying and healing questions that aid them in learning and continuing to open up. And then the last potential barrier that I identified, a tendency that I have, is toward nonverbals. And some nonverbals is that I do use a signal that I'm not interested or I'm closed toward what others have to say or their ideas. And a way to address this barrier is be aware of squinting my eyes or avoid clenching my jaw or wiping the forehead when I tend to not be real interested in what they're saying. Those are some nonverbals that have been communicated to me that I do. And then communicate that sometimes I need to take what has been said and go off and listen, think about it, and then come back before responding and being able to give a good response that's been thought out. Some of the noise pollution that I've identified internally is thinking about what is next and kind of not, again, this is not being in the moment. So I need to be thinking forward. And when possible, I need to make note about things that I'm thinking or to do action on so I don't forget. And that way I can fully engage in the moment. Also, identification of that I don't have interest in what is being said, or I fake listening, as Cercola said in The Art of Listening. I tend to fake my listening. So solution to that is making time to pause and truly engage in what matters to them, regardless of how trivial it is. I need to make time to pause and be in the moment. Some external noise pollution is being wired to those devices. That's easy, setting those devices on quiet or do not disturb so that there's no disruption of thought when I'm in a conversation. And then when I often get tired and low energy, causing trouble staying involved in the conversation. So making sure I have adequate rest and communicating with others that I'm ready to help and I'm making time for them, even if that means that I need to come back the next day and really say, can we talk tomorrow because I'm tired at that moment. Finally, just a plan of action for this overarching goal in listening to building relationships is step one, let the other person know that I'm here to listen to them and I'm fully engaged. Step two, develop powers of concentration. Step three, holding fire, holding back before I actually share things. And then step four, the quality of life, remembering the quality of life depends on the quality of my communication. Thanks very much.